Today's number is 700. That's how much one member just earned in bulk trade credit with me. And on his first bulk out, he earned a Pokemon Center Celebrations ETB back up there. He's going to pick it up tomorrow at our pop-up. Today, I want to talk about the 30th anniversary of manufacturer scarcity and what the Pokemon company is doing to all of us, myself included. Now, before I get to that, my name is Ryan, and I started the TC business with over $1 million in debt. I'm here to turn cardboard into cash and move from dire straits into distro. Every day, I go over the ups and downs of running a TC business and what I accomplished on the previous day. So let's talk about the 30th anniversary, kind of what I'm expecting, what I expected from that particular box, and what I could think all of us really need to talk about. Yesterday, I said there really isn't a summer slowdown. I know I just watched Nostalgianomics talk about it. I know I watched Roar TCG talk about it. I know people are talking about the summer slowdown because their sales are down year over year from a percentage of what happens between, say, May and June, July, August versus September on through. And a lot of people, I think it was Vortex on the stream the other day with Phantom talking about how his sales are down maybe 5% year on year between kind of May and June, but they'll pick back up at the tail end of the year. I 100% agree with that analysis. Your sales might be down year on year in this particular quarter, but I promise you, as I said yesterday, all those numbers are really driving towards what's happening. It's this buildup. It's this consolidation period. Now is the time to buy. Now is the time to get in. And I truly do believe that, because last year I got that PKC ETB for, I don't want to say half price. Now it doubled in a year, not quite as much as I thought when I was picking up the suggestion from Team Rocket Joey last year. And it was a good suggestion, right? It did double in price in a year. That's a good evaluation from my original buy. I'm not mad at it. I just thought it would go up more, because I thought that the manufacturer scarcity applied in all caveats. At the time, I was equating things like Final Fantasy collector booster boxes, which had gone up from an MSRP of like 400 to almost 1500 in like a 2-month period. And they've lingered down and they've risen back up. But I just, in my head, was like, well, these people, Team Rocket Joey by name, they seem to know what they're talking about. And 30th is coming up next year. This seems to make sense. I'm going to go all in on that. And I got to tell you, while it wasn't a bad play, the better play was the other thing I was doing last summer, which was picking up 151 booster bundles for $50. I think I went around all over the DMV. I would not care where I was having to drive. 10 here, 5 here, 2 here, whatever. If I could get it for $50, I was going everywhere. Those quad in less than a year. Now, not every play is going to do a triple or a quad inside of a 12-month period. And frankly, I'm happy to get a 2x out of that, right? And my members happy that they're going to be picking it up for a really good deal because they're doing it in bulk, and I'll earn off the bulk as well. Like, everybody in this situation wins. But I really thought that the 30th anniversary would drive that box up more. What I want to take away from this is I think there's more manufactured scarcity now. Nostalgianomics talks a lot about this, that there were more boxes printed, more packs printed, more things printed during the Sword and Shield era than the Scarlet Violet. In fact, one of the positions he has is get out of Sword and Shield, get into Scarlet Violet, because it was ripped more and there was printed less. It's probably not a bad play, especially since there's been rough consolidation in the Sword and Shield era boxes. I wouldn't get out of everything. I'm a big fan of Fusion Strike, big fan of Evolving Skies, big fan of Lost Origins, kind of the creme de la creme, right? I bought the Rudy deal he had last summer, which was sort of the top 6 booster boxes. Glad I did. It was a reasonable price. Roughly, at least break even, if not a little bit heavy, right? I would say up maybe 1,000 in a year. Not great gains, but that also tells you how much Sword and Shield hasn't moved in the last year either, right? If I had put that same 5K into, just say, for instance, those 151 booster bundles, I would have been at almost 20K in value, right? So you got to pick and choose. But then as far as the manufactured scarcity, Pitch Black was a drop today. My monitors on our server picked it up immediately. A lot of people hit. That was a good drop. I think I got kicked out twice, and I still got in on the third go and still was able to buy. I was in for, I don't know, 2.5 hours at the end of it. But I got to tell you, when you're thinking about the manufactured scarcity of Pokemon right now, everything feels hard to get. And yeah, I understand there's sleeves of Chaos Rising. I understand there's sleeves of Perfect Order. These are not beloved sets, but the things that are beloved are just not nearly impossible to get. They're so hard to get without something like the online monitors that my Discord has, or the drops that we announce on our Discord. If I didn't have that as a system, I'd be right back to where I was last year, where it would be very hard to find things. Now, will Pitch Black be easy to find? Probably. Easier to find than most because it's a booster box set, not a specialty set. As a byproduct, you'll be able to get it with sleeves or 3-pack blisters or whatever else, right? Even if you don't get an ETB, even if you didn't get a booster box at MSRP from the PKC today, you would be able to get something. But when it comes to the 30th, all bets are off. When it comes to that Rayquaza set at the end of the year, was it Delta Rain? all bets are off. When it comes to what I believe is coming in January, which is, I think the next specialty set in January is going to be a Team Rocket set. I've heard this through the grapevine. I'm not breaking news. I don't think. If I am, credit me if you want. But I think right now the word on the street is there's going to be a anniversary set, which wasn't a guarantee after the 30th, probably as always around January. And based on some kind of filings, that seems to be like a Team Rocket set. Now, there's been a showcase of a Team Rocket specialty set, or I think it's like a case, like I don't know, what, some sort of a case that has a Team Rocket branding that's going to be out of China. But I think it's going to go further than that. I do think that the specialty set coming out in January is going to be Team Rocket. And if that happens, it's going to blow the roof off this thing and be almost as impossible, if maybe even a little bit harder to get than Ascended Heroes. We talk a lot about how the ups and downs of this market play into kind of whether a set is beloved or whether a set is easy to get, or the hit rates and all sorts of other things. We talk a lot about that on the Discord. We give a lot of feedback. My mods give a lot of feedback to try and help direct people to where they could maybe spend their hobby dollars. We try and help people hit an MSRP. We try to help in general. But when you're dealing with manufactured scarcity, this is what the Pokemon Company is doing very well. It's so different than what I understand the Sword and Shield era was like. It couldn't have been more different, right? Like then it seemed like print on demand, print, doesn't matter. And only the beloved sets now made it out alive. Then nothing that was printed into the ground is going to come back, because yes, they'll rise over time, but not to the same levels, right? That's why your Lost Origins, your Crown Zenith, and your Evolving Skies and your Fusion Strike, they matter more because while they may have been printed to the ground, they were truly unique. On the other hand, if you're dealing with Scarlet Violet, you're seeing Scarlet Violet base, you're seeing Obsidian Flames, sets that were not beloved at the time, but because they were relatively short printed compared to Sword and Shield, because Rip and Ships is just eaten through the product, because of these kinds of things, and that's carried forward into Mega Evolutions era, it's just harder to get. But the Pokemon Company did this on purpose. They are tightening the market. They want you to crave this. They want this manufactured scarcity. They want you to want it. You got to appreciate the business model, because all these factors, right? Rip and ship, manufacturer scarcity, the coming rise of MSRP, which will drive things insane. The idea that the Pokemon Center is likely to remove the vending machines. All of these things play into the manufacturer scarcity. What will happen when they remove the vending machines? Well, it will be harder to get in your local community. ETBs and booster boxes, right? Booster boxes have already been removed. I think ETBs have been removed. Naturally, that's going to create this rising price point for booster boxes and ETBs. Because it used to be, well, I could get one for, I don't know, Surging Sparks for 200 or 215 in the kind of a drawdown period of November and December, because it was a little easier to get. Well, if the only place to get booster boxes now is a distro or, LCS or on the Pokemon Center, that's going to rise all these boxes levels up, including the ETBs, and more especially the ETBs, because I think that's where a lot of people count on sort of getting product or getting packs. But the manufactured scarcity issue, I think, is going to drive people a little nutty. And when that comes to be, you've got to use your hobby dollars in a really special way. You got to make sure that you're paying attention to how much money you got coming in and how much money you got going out. That's where you're going to have to make more trades. That's where you're going to have to show up to shows and be willing to make a better trade than you would have maybe at an LCS. I've said in the past, I may not always be the cheapest or the most expensive. That could be on both ends of the spectrum, whether it's selling or buying. I went to a local store today. A member on my server was there, and he was flat out told, you're going to get a better price at a show, because a vendor can deal with that better than we can, because we have to pay for all this overhead. And they were right. I totally agree with them. Now, I may not have overhead that same way, but I have to operate in a different space than I did 6 months ago, definitely a year ago, where I have to take into account percentages because I want to grow this business. And now I have to sort of take in margins to account for people that are helping me, right? It's not just a single person operation anymore. All of these things are considerations when you add in that scarcity, right? And I keep going back to it because it is going to be one of the most important factors in how you use your hobby dollars moving forward, which is why I offer the bulk trade-in, which is why I'm going to be working on a rewards program for our website and for bulk. I'm tweaking with it now. I don't have it perfected, but that rewards program is going to make it so that people can, again, extend their hobby dollars further when they buy sealed with me, or when they trade singles for it, whatever it may be. So while you're out there, understand in the heat, when you're mad at somebody else because they got the booster box and you didn't, because I don't know, this person took the last ETB and all you're left with is the sleeves. I hate to say it, But the Pokemon Center wants it this way. They want you to feel that FOMO. They want you to feel that element of missing out. And this is where building that community. This is where having your friends. This is where finding good ways to trade. Whether it's I rip these singles, these are duplicates, and I really want to get this ETB. I really want more sleeves, or I want to rip more packs. And somebody's willing to give me, I don't know, 10 packs or 11 packs for the same kind of packs that are in this ETB. That's a good deal, even if it's not the ETB that you would have ripped, right? You have to think of these things based on the fact that there is manufactured scarcity. And what are you going to do so that you don't price yourself out of the market? Because I promise you, it will start to feel like this again when you're in that September, October, November timeframe, and you're dealing with high quality sets and things that feel almost out of touch, unless you have the kind of server that we deal with where we help people hit MSRP. And even then, you will find yourself dealing with this sort of not scarcity mindset, but an active manufactured scarcity. I have an abundance mindset. I think there's all the things you could want, you could find if you're willing to work for it or find ways to it. But there is manufactured scarcity in the Pokemon Center and just general in the Pokemon space. So you have to work within the hobby that way. I want everyone to be careful because while we are intending on the server to help you hit, and while it's my intention to provide value on my personal website and the bulk operation and everything else, it's not always possible if you're unwilling to make certain moves. You have to be willing to sell your bulk. You have to be willing to make trades. You have to be willing to maybe, camp out overnight at a Best Buy, even if it may not be something you wish to do. It's not something I wish to do. I know that, but I know that for a lot of people, it's the only way that they will hit an MSRP, right? So as you kind of get heated in a hope line, or as you see that others are getting thousands of these or botted or whatever else, I promise you that while there's lots of potential enemies, so to speak, the person that I tend to, I don't want to say blame, but give the most grief to is the Pokemon Center. They want it this way. If they didn't, they would change it. I don't care what you say. If they wanted to change it, they could. Okay. Now, yesterday, did 3 things. We worked on our new rate card that's going to be going out. I'm finalizing the sealed rate card and working on the points value system for the rewards. We worked with our dev on how to do bulk submissions and kind of submissions for your lots, whatever your collections, through our website so that it notifies through there. And then we reached out to another person who may be getting in contact, would have been today, actually. That same person was able to get us in contact with a local store, and we did make contact. I'm hoping to meet in the next week or so, while another individual as well is advocating on our behalf as kind of being their bulk liquidator. I'm interested to see what these things have to do. We're continuing in the space just like we said we would do at the beginning of the week with 5 more days heading into July 4th launch. All of that's going to be worked out tonight. I'm going to be listing how many ETBs or booster boxes or whatever else it may be that I have. And so that the launch for the website is ready, and we are going to start scanning in earnest all of our cards tomorrow. And I am going to, this is more of an announcement here, going to be doing a live demo between Card Uploader and Micah's Sword Swift's free category, because they just uploaded a free version of their scanning platform. And so I told Micah I'm going to test both out, and he seemed up to the challenge. I'm excited to see how it works. My buddy Sam announced that his Loomis Live will be free for all members through beta for the next 6 months. If you're interested in a kind of a free inventory management system, I suggest you take a look at that. You can take a look at his YouTube or his website. For those who are looking for an alternative, maybe it's a cash position issue, maybe it's maybe it's just a reason that you have, right? And I know I saw Roar talking about kind of the differences from kind of a scrappy bootstrapping kind of enterprise that may have just started versus kind of where he sees the Sword Swift as a kind of more of an enterprise model. I sort of lean towards agreeing with that assessment. I would say that it's probably somewhere in the middle, that it depends on where you are in your journey. Certainly the free scans help. It's one of the reasons I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison about how good these scans are compared to Card Uploader's $10 a month plan. But ultimately, I got a lot of listing to do. I got a lot of inventory to kind of notate for the website. I got a lot of work to do in the next 5 days. Okay, before we leave, the manufactured scarcity is real, but there is a lot of ways to move in this environment. It's up to you to figure out how to. And if you're ever asking yourself how, join our server. We'll find ways how. And you can always reach out to me either in the comments below or on the server. Hope you join for the conversation. As always, be good or be good at it. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.